In. Good evening, everyone. Hamjambo. Tena Mungu. Mko?
Huko
Yeah. Oh, sawa Philip, habari ya masiku?
mzuri sana.
Sawa. Tunangoja darasa lianze.
Okay, sawa.
Nicholas, how are you? Kamau. Nicholas.
Yes, I'm good. I'm good.
Sawa sawa. Make Walter Owino a co-host.
Yeah. Okay.
Walter Owino. Yeah. Thank you. Let's give them another 5 minutes, then we start the class. Dakika 5 tafadhali.
Okay.
Good evening, good evening. I think we have a good quorum. The class can start. I am hoping and praying that all of you are well. I am good. Let's start with a prayer before we welcome the facilitator for the day. Raise up your hand, please. Any one of us can begin with the prayer. Inua mkono tafadhali. Immaculate Kitonga, how are you? Tuombe tafadhali.
I'm fine, Daktari.
Good to hear that voice.
Thank you. Let us believe and pray. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we come before thy presence this evening with thanksgiving in our heart, Lord. Thank you for the care and protection you have taken unto us from morning until this time of the evening, Lord. As we start our learning session for today, we want to invite your presence to be with us, Lord. We want to pray for your guidance, Heavenly Father. We want to pray for the spirit of understanding as we carry out our session. We thank you for the gift of our facilitators, and we commit the facilitator of today unto the able hands. We pray for your direction, Lord. We pray for a good start at the middle, even at the end. And this is our humble prayer in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
And amen. Thank you so much, Immaculate. And welcome everyone. Thank you for continuing here in class. I am happy to announce, as you are told by Aquila on the wall, that module 2 is up and running. And we will see by the end of the week whether we will have the documents that we require for practical. Bearing in mind, we were not able to meet yesterday, but we'll be meeting on Monday for the final class. And I would want by Monday, all of us, we have the practicum form for you to upload, to download, do the practicum, let it be filled, fill a picture, upload it. So we will still expect you to take up your work as expected. Do the assignments as we have been doing. Let us move on, and we still pray. We still pray that all will be well. I'm looking forward to seeing this course come to an end, because the first cohort always makes someone see that a direction has been taken. I'll also have some other announcements next week that I'm not going to share now, but I think I'll have more information next week about the course. And I am praying that what I'm thinking about comes to fruition, and it will be a welcome thing for all of us. Once again, karibuni sana to this class. Our host, as usual, is Nicholas Kamau. Tumemzoea sana kwa hii class. Tumemzoea sana kwa hii class, kwa hivyo it's like he has become a member of the class. Eventually he ataanza, we will give him a unit to teach. Hatutamwacha hivyo. Karibu sana Nicholas for that work, and keep on supporting us. And with us today is our Dr. Walter Odera. Tumemzoea hata yeye. And so when I see the people we've been working with and seeing new people, makes me feel we are still in the process of being. Walter, karibu sana, klasi ni yako. Chukua, tuendelee. Again, people, for anyone with a query, please put it in my email, ggatuni@kemi.ac.ke. Someone sent me her research in my WhatsApp. I promised her I'm going to look for it. Nimeitafuta na imepotea. Please use my email address for such things. Karibu sana Walter. We are happy to have you with us. Chukua klasi yako. Ukitaka tuendelee mpaka time ni yako. Whatever time you give us, you're welcome. Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you so much, Daktari. So I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, you can be heard well and also your screen can be seen well. Karibu.
Okay. So today we want to talk about reality therapy. Reality therapy is a very interesting approach to therapy. And this approach to therapy was developed, pioneered by William Glasser. He was an American. He was a psychiatrist. He was trained as a psychiatrist. But in his work as a psychiatrist, treating patients with various behavior issues, Glasser realized that many clients that he was treating were not changing their behavior, or they would change behavior for some time, then they would return to the old bad behavior after therapy. So that motivated him to find an alternative, to develop an alternative to the traditional therapies. So when I say traditional therapies, it refers to the therapies that were in fashion during that time. Most notably, it was psychoanalysis that was very widespread at the time. So when he realized that the traditional therapy was not effective, he began working on a new approach that he called reality therapy. So reality therapy in 1965 is when he published the book called Reality Therapy. And that is essentially when the approach became available, and it has developed over time. So it's what we want to look at today. Now, the interesting thing with reality therapy is the emphasis on the fact that people are responsible for behavior. This might sound obvious when we say people are responsible for behavior, but you see, the mental health fraternity of that time, and even many of today, may not fully agree with Glasser in regard to his view on behavior. So Glasser also emphasized that counseling should bring about measurable change in behavior. So if you go for counseling successfully, you should come out with a change in behavior, clearly discernible change in behavior. If you go for counseling and you come back and then you go back to the same old behavior, or there's no discernible change in behavior, then according to Glasser, we would say that that therapy was not effective for you. So that is GLESA. So what we are going to look at, the way we are breaking it down, we are going to talk about the view of human nature. So we want to get an idea of how, of how we view human nature according to reality therapists. Then we will mention the view of psychological disturbance. How do people, or rather, how does psychological disturbance come about in people? Then we will talk about process of change, how people change. We are going to mention goals of counseling, role played by the counselor. Then we'll talk about the WDEP system, which is the approach or the method that is used by reality therapists. Then we will also give examples of other techniques that can be used by reality therapists. So that, in a nutshell, is what we intend to look at. So we'll start by talking about the view of human nature in reality therapy. And I'm going to mention 3 important aspects of human nature that is important for reality therapy. One is the needs and wants. We are going to see that we have needs and we have wants. And we are going to see that needs and wants are at the core of reality therapy. Then we'll talk about the choice theory, which addresses behavior. Then I'll also talk about the quality world. We'll also look at that. So under our view of human nature, those 3 elements are what we are going to focus on. So then we are going to start by talking about needs and wants. I'm sure when you hear the word need and you hear the word want, already something is clicking in your mind. You're saying, well, I need money. I need school fees, probably. Actually, certainly, you need school fees, right? You need, you need this and you need that. So there are things that we say we need. If I told you to list all the things you need, I'm sure you'd write a very long list of things that you need. And of course, it's true, you need all those things, obviously. And if you're told to say the things you want, I'm sure you'd have an even longer list of the things you want. Of course, you want money, you want a big house, you want a lot of things, right? Hence, we can talk of needs and wants. But you're going to see, according to reality therapy, that actually we all have 5 inborn needs. The needs that matter to reality therapy are only 5, just 5 inborn needs. So if you wrote a list with 20 or 30 needs, you would have to boil it down to 5. And we say they are inborn needs because, according to GLESA, every human being is born with those needs. So those needs are intrinsic to the human being. All people have those needs. So now these needs make us different from other living things. They make us uniquely human. And these needs, why these needs are so important, like I said, these needs are at the heart of reality therapy. Why? Because we are told that the needs are the force behind all behavior. We are going to learn that all behavior is aimed at fulfilling those needs. The needs, like I've said, are 5. You can see there's a graphic on the screen. So there is survival is one of the needs. Survival. There is fun. You may not have imagined that fun is a need. There is power, there is love and belonging, and there is freedom. So those are the 5 needs. So if I told you to write down all the things you need, and let's say you wrote 20 or 30 of them, I'm sure we could boil them down to these 5, right? They would fit in the 5 categories. So these needs are key to understanding the human nature. So we are saying here that we control or mold the world around us to fulfill those needs. So we go out of our way, we take actions, we do so many things. All of them are geared towards attaining those 5 needs. So the things we do to satisfy those 5 needs have an impact on our external world. You see, when you are going about, satisfying needs, let's say something like fun, for example. People want to have some amount of fun, right?
Yeah.
And, did I hear someone? Okay. So people want to have fun on the weekend or maybe, I think I'll mute. Yeah, we want to have fun. So how do people have fun? Some people will play loud music in their house. Some people will, they'll put their TV very loud because they are watching a movie. They want to have fun. So some people will take their vehicle and they put big speakers inside so that they can enjoy and have fun as they ride around. So sometimes the things we are doing to have fun, for example, will affect our world around us, the people around you. So some people may not be too happy because of how you are having fun, and they'll complain about it. And then sometimes you have actual conflict because the way you are trying to satisfy your need or needs is annoying people around you. So don't be surprised if you cross swords with people because of how you or the other person is trying to satisfy one or more of those needs. So we do many different things to satisfy those needs. But of course, now you see, as we grow older, the needs remain, but how we go about them is what will change as we age. So if you take something like, let's say, fun, for example, the way you would want to have fun today, I'm sure it's different from the way you did it when you were in your 20s. But if you're in your 20s, the way you are having fun is different from how you will have fun in your 30s or 40s. So the need remains, but how you go about it will change with your age and even the cultures that we come from. So our cultures, in a way, also affect how we pursue these 5 needs. So those are the needs in a nutshell. I have given a little bit more of elaboration on the needs. Remember, there are 5. So the first one is survival. Survival has to do with self-preservation. Basically, self-preservation. You want to preserve yourself. So you want to sustain yourself. You need essentials like food and water to survive. You also need to secure yourself from danger, danger that can threaten your survival. So self-preservation, sustaining yourself, so those ones fall under the survival need. So all of us have this need. And maybe speaking of needs, if you remember Maslow, I'm sure you've come across Abraham Maslow and the hierarchy. And if you remember that hierarchy of needs, at the bottom were the survival needs, food, shelter, and clothing. And you recall Maslow said that those are the most compelling needs. You have to start there. You will not want anything else until your basic needs are provided. So here also, if you think about it, the need for survival is critical, because if you die, if you lack food or water and you die, then there's no way you are going to enjoy the other. I mean, the other needs become irrelevant, clearly. So that is important. There's also the need for freedom. We desire to enjoy a degree of independence or autonomy. We will agree that we cannot do just about everything we want to do the way we want to do it. You know, our hands are tied to some extent. Nonetheless, we still want to experience some independence or autonomy. We want freedom to make choices. We want freedom to choose certain things. We don't like external restraints to tie us, to tie our hands. Most people don't like being restrained. Although the reality is that sometimes we have to live under certain restraints, some of them for our own good, actually. So we also want to think for ourselves. So we also want intellectual autonomy. People don't like to be dictated to how to think. So a successful identity, you are saying, develops when we exercise ability to choose how we meet our needs. So again, when you talk about freedom, part of the freedom has to do with how we go about satisfying all these needs. So you want to have freedom to pursue your fun activities, for example. You want to have freedom to eat what you want to eat when you want to eat it, you know. So freedom is an important need. Then there is fun that I've alluded to. So we desire to engage in enjoyable activities, especially those that are social in nature. So life is meant to be enjoyed, you know. So we do a lot of things for fun. We watch football, we go for road trips, some people go to the club. Quite a few things that we do to have fun. Then the other needs are power and belonging. So power is the ability to do or achieve something through your own effort. So if you are capable of expending your effort and your intellectual ability, and you can make things happen, then you experience that feeling of power. But power here does not imply exploiting or dominating others. So it is not power in that dictatorial sense of it. It's power that I can say it comes from the inside, your own sense of being able to do things and to get results out of it. So this power, it comes in the sense of achievement and competence and accomplishment. When you accomplish things, you achieve, important things, it builds up that feeling of power. So power gives you that sense of control. You can do things, you can make things to happen. Then there is belonging. Now this one, whereas, you remember I said survival is key, self-preservation to keep you alive, so that when you are alive, you can then enjoy everything else. So as long as you are alive, you are surviving, your survival need is catered for. I think belonging is the other big one. This one is the other very important need. So you see now, belonging, this need to belong motivates us to, it it motivates us to coexist, to cooperate with other people at different levels. We want to affiliate with people because we are social. So we want to, family and friendships. We belong to different places here and there. So there's that sense of belonging. This need has a social aspect in the sense that you need other people in order to experience a sense of belonging. You cannot belong by yourself, obviously. You need people, you need relationship to belong. So that's why we are saying that this need is unique, because you need close and caring relationships. Once you are part of close, caring relationships, meaning that you belong, then it becomes easier to satisfy all the other needs. Because it would be difficult if you think about something like fun or survival or even just freedom. How do you enjoy these things when you are solitary? It may not work out too well. But if you belong with other people, then these other needs become so much more enjoyable and so much more attainable when you affiliate with others. Now, the last point there, we are saying that using control tactics like coercion or criticizing people or threatening people for them to satisfy your needs will not work. Unfortunately, it will only lead to frustration, conflict, and broken relationships, and people become unhappy, and issues like stress and depression and anxiety will come in. So we don't force our way. I mean, we cannot force people to satisfy these needs for us. It cannot be done forcefully. If you go about it forcefully or trying to force your way, then you only end up creating problems for you and for the people that you are affecting. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, many issues, conflicts, complaints, quarrels, arguments, many of them, if you look carefully, you find that they touch on some of these needs. For example, if you have a teenage, an adolescent child, or a young adult, a Gen Z child, there's a good chance that you are probably at loggerheads because this youngster is demanding too much freedom. They're demanding too much freedom, and they also prioritize fun more than serious business. So that could be a source of constant irritation to you as the parent or the guardian, or even as the teacher for that matter. Because the young fellows, they want all the freedom in the world, yet they cannot handle all that freedom. So conflict can arise because of how people go about satisfying these needs. Now that said, so we have seen those 5 needs. Then now there is also the idea of wants. So we want. If I said, write me a list of all the things you want, you can write a very long list of the things you want. You want a lot of things. So the things you want, these are the things you desire. They're things that you desire to get. It's like a desire. You desire to get those things. Some could be material. Some may not be material things, but quite a few things that we want. And as we grow older, our list of wants can also change. I suspect that as we grow older, the list tends to shorten. You start wanting fewer things. when you realize that some of those things may not be so necessary after all. So your wants change as you age. I believe so. Now we are saying also, you see, we have the same needs. The needs are 5, those 5 needs, but the wants are endless. The wants are endless. However, you are going to realize that the wants are connected to the needs. When you want a car, or maybe you have a car, but you want a bigger one, a more expensive one. Why do you want the more expensive car? Really, just think about it. Why do you want it? If you have a smartphone, a very good one, but you still want the latest iPhone or whichever phone is coming out. Why do you want that one also? Why? Have you thought about it? If you look closely, I would suggest to you, these big cars we want and the big phones we want, they are connected to some of these needs. Maybe you want the big car for fun. You know, the big car, the big one for road trips, yeah, and for driving to the village in style. So there's a degree of fun and power. You know, the big car correlates with power. The bigger your car, probably the more power you exude power. You know, so there are many things we want, and if you cut down to it, you find that the want is associated with the needs. Those two, they go hand in hand. Okay, so those are the needs and the wants. So I hope we are on the same page with that. Then the second aspect of human nature that I said we are going to talk about is based on the choice theory. So there's this theory called the choice theory. The choice theory was there. It has always been there before, even before there was a reality therapy. So Gleiser borrowed ideas from the choice theory because it fits very well in his conceptualization of reality therapy. So what does the choice theory say about human nature? Now, I find this to be a rather interesting way of looking at human nature. First of all, we are told that all the things we do them in order to satisfy our needs and wants. So when choice theory says all the things we do, that is exactly what it means. All the things we do, whatever it is, you do it to satisfy at least one of those needs and to get yourself something you want. So even now, being in this class where you are today, you are here to satisfy one of those needs. I will be asking you later on to tell me which need you are satisfying or you are trying to satisfy by coming to this class. So be thinking about it as we continue. The second thing we are told is that behavior is internally motivated. So behavior being internally motivated means, you see now it's in your thinking. In your thinking, there is a difference between what you want and what you perceive to be getting. I mean, if you place yourself where you are, there's what you already have, and there is what you want. So what you want is it's like you are here, and what you want is a distance away from you. So you are motivated to do something to get that which you want, which is a bit away from you. So the car that you want, that big car you want, it is at a distance from you. You don't have it now, but it is there. You can see it somewhere there in the distance. So your behavior, whether it is working hard, starting a business, doing overtime, side hustle, stealing money from your employer, conning people, whatever it is that you do, you'll be doing it in order to attain that big car that you want. I hope you see how that works. So when you take money from your employer, for example, or you take money from people, that behavior has a purpose. And it is being done because you want to attain something that you don't have today. So according to you, that behavior, whether it is a good one or a bad one, it is geared towards attaining the things that you want. Therefore, choice theory disputes the deterministic view and also rejects the idea that behavior is caused by external factors. You remember last time when we were together, we were looking at psychoanalytical therapy, and we discussed the deterministic view, where we said, according to that psychoanalytic therapy, behavior was being influenced by unconscious motivations that are operating within the person. But choice theory disputes that idea. And we are told basically that all the things that we do them purposefully in order to attain something that we want. So here there's no unconscious instincts and so on. That one is rejected here. Now, something that you're going to find interesting is this idea that whatever we do is called a behavior. Actually, we call it a total behavior. Whatever we do is a total behavior. Why do we call it a total behavior? We call it a total behavior because it has four components. Four components. There is the action, the doing part, there's the thinking, the feeling, and the physiological aspect. Now, what are we even saying here? Now, I want you to imagine that, just imagine a very ordinary behavior, like let's say going to the shop. So you are going to the shop. So as you're going to the shop, that behavior of going to the shop has four components to it. One is the action. The action is you walking towards the shop. That is the action. Then there is what you are thinking as you are going to the shop. Then there is what you feel about going to the shop. Then there is the physiological aspect. What is happening inside your body that is out of your control? Your heart beating, breathing, blood pressure, and so on. So whatever it is you are doing, according to the choice theory, those four components are all present. However, notice, as much as all the four components are present, one component tends to stand out at any given moment. So as you're walking to the shop, the most obvious component of that behavior would be probably the action. So you never get, so as you are going to the shop, it's the action that stands out. The other three, they don't seem to matter too much, but they are there according to the theory. But they just become less noticeable. When you sit down to worry, you are worried to get money to pay for school fees for your kid, maybe. as you sit down thinking and worrying and so on, that behavior also has 4 components. There is action, there is thinking, there is feeling, there is physiology involved. But probably the thinking part will stand out. So you'll be wondering, where will I get money? So so many ideas are going through your mind. So that behavior, you find the thinking will be the more obvious component, and so on and so forth. So we are told all the behavior have 4 components, and one of them tends to stand out. And so we tend to describe the behavior by the most obvious component that that seems to stand out at that time. Now this is important, and we will mention it again as we continue. We also told, according to the choice theory, that choices are not aimless or random. They have a purpose, as I've said, and their purpose is to obtain what we want. So choices are not random. The things we do, we choose to do them because there's something we expect to get out of it. So people therefore are responsible for their own behavior. Why? Because they choose everything they do with few exceptions. So yes, we can agree there are certain things that you may be forced to do. Maybe by your boss or by the law. But we choose most of the things we do. So people are capable of change when they choose more effective behavior. So because the behavior that people do are things that they choose to do, so then change would involve choosing to do something different, which is more effective than what you're doing presently. So people can make choices despite past experiences. So your past experiences does not prevent you from making choices. So that people should not say that, you see, I'm like this because of how I was raised, or I'm like this because of the way I was brought up. Reality therapists would say, no, you can change. So don't say that I drink so much because I have trauma and I have this. The reality therapist will tell you, no, you can change today. You can stop drinking today. It's a choice that you can make according to the choice theory. So the choice theory in a nutshell is telling us that we choose our behavior. Our behavior is purposeful to attain something that we want. And behavior has the 4 aspects: the action, the feeling, the thinking part of it, as well as the physiological part of it. Then we can talk about the quality world. So there's a concept called the quality world in reality therapy. So the quality world is your idealized image of how you would wish to have your needs fulfilled. In other words, if you could fulfill those 5 needs properly, very well, how would your life look like if you're able to fulfill all those needs very comfortably, very well? So we always have a mental picture of what our world would be like if we were able to fulfill our needs. So, so the quality world is like a picture or a mental picture of what our life would be like if our needs were well fulfilled. So this quality world changes as we grow older, because the ideals of a young person are different from the ideals of an older person. So your quality world tends to change. It is worth noting that the most important aspect of the quality world should be the relationships that we have with significant others. So if you develop quality relationships with your significant others, your friends, your relatives, your family, then your quality world will come closer to reality. Because remember what we said about the 5 needs, and we said that belonging is a very important need for our well-being. So if you have that belonging, the friendship, then fulfilling the other needs will become much easier. So we all have our quality world, and that is an aspect of who we are. So you can also notice then that a lot of the things that we do, including coming to school at this time, is to take you closer to your quality world, because there's something that you've already visualized. There's a picture already, yeah, in your mind of what you want to be like in future. So there's something you are pursuing. There's some picture, kuna kitu, there's something that is motivating you. So you are trying to move closer to arriving at your quality world. So do you think we ever get to attain this quality world the way we imagine it? Maybe you can be thinking about that. Okay. So now we can talk about the view of psychological disturbance. So here I want to see how psychological disturbance is explained in reality therapy. We are going to say a number of things. And the first thing we are going to say is that people feel emotional distress if one or more of the needs are not satisfied. And we are emphasizing that especially the need for love and belonging. So you say that all of us, we have those 5 needs, and all those 5 needs are important, all of them, including fun is also important. So if one or more of those needs are not being met, especially the need for belonging, then you are likely to have some distress, some psychological distress will come about. So like we have said, we all have the needs, but we differ in the manner and effectiveness of how we go about satisfying those needs. So individuals functioning, especially their interpersonal functioning, will break down when these needs are not met. So if you deny somebody, if you block somebody from satisfying those needs, even one of them, then there's going to be a breakdown, especially of the interpersonal functioning. So there's going to be conflict. You are going to have a conflict with a person if you stop them from satisfying their needs. So people, for whichever reason, some people, for one reason or the other, you find that they are not able to satisfy those needs. And if they don't, then they are going to experience some emotional distress is going to come about. So that is one thing. Then The other thing that we are told is that people are responsible for behavior even when they seem not to be. And here is an example that you will find to be very interesting. We are told, for example, when somebody comes and tells you that I feel depressed, the truth is that this person is depressing. It is him who is depressing himself. When the person says she's sad, she's the one saddening herself. So these two people, they are going to try to find reasons, external reasons, to explain why they are depressed or sad. But then it turns out that they are the ones who are depressing themselves or saddening themselves or doing whatever it is that they're doing to themselves. Then you'd wonder and say, okay, so is there any person in this world, is there any normal human being who wants to sit down and depress himself or wants to sit down and sadden himself? I mean, who does that, you might wonder. So we are told that, in fact, we do engage. We are the ones who engage in such painful behavior, like saddening yourself. It's a painful behavior, yes. But why do we engage in it? We engage in it because at that moment, at that particular time, you are thinking that this behavior is going to satisfy one or more of your needs at that time. That is what you are thinking. So when you are depressing yourself, somewhere in the back of your mind, you think or you believe that this behavior will give you will attain some need for you. That is why you are doing it. So the reality therapist will tell you that you are the one who is actually choosing to depress yourself because you think that by so doing, there's something you'll get out of it. So when you say you are suffering, you are actually choosing to suffer like that. Now, I know that might sound very controversial. Yeah, but that is the view of reality therapists. You choose, it is a choice. So individuals have a choice between being miserable or being mentally disturbed. And on the other hand, they can also choose to behave in positive ways. So you have a choice according to reality therapy. Choose to be positive and live your life healthy, effective life, or you can choose misery. So Glaser rejected the concept of mental illness. He said there's no such thing as mental illness unless a doctor is able to find out something wrong with the brain. But if there's nothing wrong with your brain, according to Glaser, kotu sawa, you are just okay, kabisa. Then it means if you say you are depressed or you are anxious, you are the one choosing that behavior. And you're choosing it for a reason, because there's something that it is getting for you. Now, so in addition to that, we're also learning that the individual's approach to the world reflects how they go about meeting their needs. So remember, we said that according to the choice theory, all the things that we do are to satisfy those needs and get us the things that we want. So how do you go about it? How do people go about it then? So there are two possible paths that people can choose to follow as they try to attain those needs and wants. there are those people who will follow the effective path, others will follow the less effective path. So the path that you choose will reflect in your personality. So when we look at you and we see the way you behave, the way you tend to be, that will be because of the path that you have chosen. So there are those who take the effective path. These are people you find they will live lives characterized by growth, effective behavior choices, and positive addictions. So these people, they make better choices. They tend to have healthy feelings, physiology, and thinking. So this kind of a person who is living the effective life, you find that they are well adjusted, they make good choices, and so they are okay. They are better, even physically, they are healthy. Then there are those of us who will take the less effective path. These are the people who will tend to give up in life. They make poor choices and they have negative addictions. So that is a path that they have chosen to follow. So you choose the path that you want to follow. You can follow the effective path or the less effective one. It's a choice. Now, Glaser also differentiated between negative and positive addictions. So positive addictions refer to behavior that contribute to self-esteem and growth, of which there are many such things that we do. Running, meditating, eating healthy, working out, spending quality time with family. There are quite a lot of things that he calls positive addictions. On the other hand, you have the negative addictions. These are the bad stuff. These are the bad stuff like drinking alcohol, smoking, overeating, and other harmful addictions. So people choose. You choose your addictions. You can choose the positive ones or you can choose the negative ones. But the bottom line is that you have that choice. So, according to Glaser, he says that when you see people drinking or smoking or eating too much, they do it because they find it easier to do those things than to discipline themselves and resist such things. So because you find it so hard to resist smoking or drinking and other negative addictions, so you just settle for it because you feel it is too much work, resisting them. Yeah, so those are the positive and negative addictions. Now, what about early relationships? We are told that early relationships influence us in some ways. One thing is that early relationships can influence our approach to satisfying the 5 needs. So, how I go about satisfying those needs can be influenced by my upbringing to some extent. So, the way I saw people doing things when I was growing up, I could try to follow the same what they were doing. So maybe what I'm copying might be helpful, maybe not. But there's an extent to which we can be influenced by those early experiences. Nevertheless, we are still being reminded that despite all that, we still have the capacity or the ability to make choice. So you are not a slave to what you learned when you're growing up. You can choose today to make different choices. So people have choice over their behavior and not the people they have related with. The same point I'm saying, you have choice, you have the ability to choose your own behavior. It's not determined by other people. So in reality therapy, we don't permit clients to blame somebody else for their predicament because they have the ability to choose their own behavior. Now, we're saying that the poor choices people make could have been the best choices available to them at the time. So we don't criticize people because of things they did or the things they have done. We give them that you know, we just say, well, probably when the person did or made those choices, to them at that time, that choice they made or the thing they did, it appeared to them like the best choice they could make at that time. All right, but that was then when they made that choice. So now they can make a better choice. So you see, we are saying here that Glazer discouraged criticism. So we don't criticize people. We don't criticize the client because of the choices they made earlier on. We allow them that maybe at that time, that was according to them, that could have appeared like the best choice to make. So we don't crucify people for that. We also told that troubled people maintain a failure identity because they are unwilling to accept responsibility and face, real and to face to accept responsibility and face the truth, face reality, honestly. So some people have a failure identity. Why? Simply because they find it so hard or so impossible to face responsibility, to accept responsibility. So according to Glaser, when people say that they have a mental disorder, it's just like an excuse or a cover or a smoke screen that they use to hide because they don't want to accept reality and accept responsibility for their own life and for their own choices. So Glaser says that mental illness is not a real thing. It's just an excuse people use to hide behind. Because now, once you've been declared to have a mental illness, see, now you are okay. You don't have to worry anymore. You have a mental illness. So yeah, you can just do whatever you want. No responsibility. So Glaser rejected this idea of mental illness, which of course is something fairly controversial. Even at the time when he made those claims, a lot of people are not impressed. Keep in mind that he himself was a psychiatrist. So he was already, a psychiatrist is the doctor who specializes in mental illness. Then he is the one saying that there is no such thing as a mental illness. So you can imagine how interesting that would be. Then you can talk about process of change in reality therapy. So how does a change come about? So we're told that behavior results, we have said, from clients' choices, and it is treated as such. So we say the client's behavior is as a result of their choices. So maladaptive behavior, whether it is drinking or stealing or violence or whatever, they are seen as the client's best choice at the time they were made. So they are maladaptive behavior, but they are choices the client made because at that time, to them, they thought that was the best choice they could make. So the counselor's goal is to help clients to understand that better choices are possible. So So our purpose is to help the client to understand they can make a different set of choices. They don't have to be stuck with those maladaptive behavior. The other thing also, in terms of change, is that we are saying that since clients have greatest control over the action element of the total behavior. Now you remember the total behavior, you are going to the shop. We said there are 4 elements or 4 components. There was the action, which is what you are doing, you are walking. There was the feeling, there was the thinking, there was the physiological part. So since clients have the greatest control over the action aspect, it is more beneficial to help them change their action than helping them to think or feel different. So we target changing the action, changing what the client is doing, as opposed to trying to help them change what they feel or think. So if we help them change the action, even the feeling and the thinking and the physiology part will also change. Sorry. So we target the behavior, the actual behavior, and not the feelings or thinking. We go for the behavior. So the counselors intend to help clients to change behavior, as we have said, not merely gaining insight or awareness. So our main purpose is changing behavior. So the insight and self-awareness are still important and helpful. We don't deny that. But our key driving force is to change behavior. That is the number one thing where change is concerned. So clients are helped to develop strong internal locus of control so that they believe in their ability to attain desired results through their own choices. So this will be an important aspect. So clients learn that they have the power and the ability to make their own choices without waiting for somebody else to choose for them. Of course, they also develop a sense of responsibility for their own behavior. And we are saying that change happens only when clients accept their ability to make meaningful choices. So ultimately, the client will be able to change. Just to summarize the whole point, change will take place when the client accepts that he has the power, the ability to make effective choices and stop depending on other people and stop depending on circumstances or giving excuses. Then change is going to take place. So clients will stop escaping personal responsibility by developing disorders. Remember, according to Glaser, there's no such thing as mental disorder. Mental disorder is just an excuse that people hide behind when they are failing to live effective life. So they use it as a sort of smoke screen. So clients will stop hiding behind these disorders. Clients will learn that behaviors are only acceptable if they are responsible and beneficial. So there's an aspect of reality therapy where the client should learn that a behavior is acceptable only if that behavior is a responsible behavior and it is beneficial to the client and to their significant others. So anything, any behavior or any action or any habit or any addiction, anything that is hurting the client or is hurting people around him, those behaviors need to be changed. So the client will be made to understand that any behavior that causes any harm requires to be changed. Yeah, so in a nutshell, that is the change, how change comes about in reality therapy. Now, reality therapy also has some unique aspects that we may want to talk about briefly. One I've already alluded to is that reality therapy rejects the concept of mental illness. So Glaser insists that unless there's damage to your brain, you cannot claim mental illness. So diagnosing, prescribing drugs, giving people pills or injections to cure mental illness is pointless, according to Glaser. So ultimately, people are not helpless. They can do something about their symptoms by taking control of their own behavior. So that is where reality therapy stands on that point. Number two is that there's no involvement with the client's past history. So reality therapy, we say it operates or it functions in the here and now, here where we are today, here and now. So we don't dwell on the past history, which you cannot change, and which also we are saying we don't want the client to blame their past history. So even if their past was not so good, they need to understand that they are not a victim of the past unless they choose to be. So there's really no much benefit dwelling on the past because it does not help the client so much. So in counseling, yes, if you are going to be operating from reality therapy perspective, you can revisit the past, but you don't invest so much time in it. You focus on the present. The therapist, number three, should avoid transference. Last time we discussed transference in psychoanalytical therapy. So here, Glaser insists that we should not allow transference to happen. The client should not be looking at you and then they project certain feelings to you that they have, feelings they have for somebody else, they project on you. Here we are told, no, you don't allow that to happen. It's unhealthy, according to reality therapists. So when you are the therapist, you retain your role as therapist. There's no projection allowed because Glaser felt that that is unhealthy. It's not beneficial. Number four, reality therapy emphasizes choice and responsibility. I think I have alluded to that. So people have choice, so they are responsible for their behavior, and they should be held responsible for that behavior. And we should be focusing on choice, helping the client to understand they have choice, so they should make better choices and take responsibility for those choices. Number five is that we avoid focusing on symptoms the way you see in other therapies. So because Glaser says that if you focus on symptoms, you're going to shield the client from taking responsibility for their choices that they have made, and they'll not face reality. So we don't focus on symptoms because people will just hide in the symptoms, yeah? And they'll use the symptoms to cover themselves from taking responsibility. So in reality therapy, we don't focus on symptoms. Number six, the therapist is also supposed to emphasize morality of behavior. So Glaser says that when your client is acting immorally, you should point it out. You should point out immoral behavior without fear. Some people might say that, well, you know, the client is, they can choose whatever they want, it's up to them. But in reality therapy, we say that if the client is clearly doing something that is immoral, you have a duty to point it out when they're doing wrong things. So yeah, that is that. Then we have goals. So the overarching goal of reality therapy is helping clients to fulfill their needs but we want those needs to be fulfilled effectively. So the clients will be able to make choices and choose behaviors that will satisfy their needs effectively. So clients are helped to do a few things that I've listed there. One, they are helped to explore their current behavior and choices in relation to those 5 needs. So there is exploration that takes place. Client explores how they are behaving, the choices they have made, the choices they are making, how well are those choices working as far as those needs are concerned. Clients will examine the wants related to each need. So all those many things they want, they'll understand, all these things I want, they are tied to these needs. Then they'll say, okay, so what can I do to satisfy those needs more effectively? So even if I don't get that big car, how do I still satisfy that need for power or fun? Because I may not get that very big car, maybe not. So the clients will also be helped to formulate a realistic and viable plan to achieve those needs and even to get the things they want. So notice there, we want a realistic and viable plan. We also help the client to make more effective and responsible choices related to their wants and needs. So notice effective and responsible choices. We help clients to make choices without being influenced by things like past trauma or unresolved conflict or peer pressure or other forces at play. So the client becomes an independent decision maker. We also want to help the client to clarify the things they want, to clarify their goals, their personal strengths and weaknesses. So there's a self-reflection where they're able to see who they are, what they want, how they get them, what are their strengths, and so on and so forth. They also realize their power to make choices, very important, so that they're able to make independent choices and make effective choices. Then they also form what we call a success identity, whereby they are going to live more productive and harmonious life. So in a nutshell, those are the goals of reality therapy. Now, what is the therapeutic relationship like? So, of course, the counselor-client relationship is important in the reality therapy. We want a therapeutic relationship characterized by empathy and genuineness. It's very important. So we are saying we want empathy, congruence, positive regard, all those aspects that we know make up the effective therapeutic relationship are important. So we are told to avoid arguing or blaming or criticizing or demeaning the client. We also don't want excuses. We don't want fault finding. We don't want to give up on clients. So all those ones are detrimental to the counseling relationship. Then here we talk about commitment. So commitment is important in reality therapy. And as you can see up there, there's a way you can gauge or you can rate the client's commitment from 1 to 5. 1 is the client who does not want to be in therapy at all. That is 1. 2, that one who says, I want the outcome, but I don't want to put the effort. That is number 2. Number 3 says, okay, I will try, or I might try and see. That is number 3. The number 4 is the one who says, I will do my best. The number 5 says, I will do whatever it takes for this to work. So your clients can fall somewhere along those, between number 1 and number 5. So you are told down there to accept your client's level of commitment and then work to raise it if necessary. So don't push the client too hard to commit. Start working where they are. Even if he's at number one, don't push. Don't push. So don't push, don't twist, don't force. You are told just start with where they are. Then as they see progress, you start to win them over. And especially with adolescents are likely to be at number one most of the time. So you have a duty to win them over, to win them over. So a good therapeutic relationship enables you to win over even the number one and twos. You can win them over if you build a good therapeutic relationship. So what is your role of counselor? So you are told, number one, counselors desist from testing, diagnosing, or interpreting, or analyzing. These are things that we saw in psychoanalysis, if you remember. So here you are told, we don't do those things. Those ones don't apply in reality therapy. What you do is to ask questions. You ask questions. The questions that you ask will help your client to examine their behavior and examine their choices. But you don't do diagnosis. You don't do dream interpretation. You remember those ones you're talking about. So you want to challenge your clients to self-evaluate their behavior. And one way of doing that is by asking appropriate questions. So you use the questioning skill. I think I taught you questioning skill sometime. So you use that skill to do that. So still role of the counselor. So you teach clients better way of fulfilling their needs. I think that is a point we have alluded to. You praise clients when they act responsibly, and you disapprove when they don't act responsibly. So that's an important thing in reality therapy. When they start making proper choices, you show approval, you praise them. If they backslide or they relapse back to their former habits, you do what? You disapprove. You're also supposed to create a supportive, caring, accepting, and non-coercive environment. So your job also is to create that therapeutic relationship. Supportive, caring, accepting, no coercion. But we are saying here it is mildly confrontative. Mildly. So you kind of push, sometimes you have to push the person a little bit, but you don't criticize or blame them. But from time to time, unamskuma kidogo, you push him a bit, you challenge him a little bit. You are to reject unrealistic behavior. I've said that, but you don't reject the person. And you teach the client better way to fulfill their needs within the confine of reality. So those are the things that the counselor does in reality therapy. Now, finally, we come to the techniques. I don't know how much time we have. Okay, have about 30 minutes, so we are good. Now, when it comes to the techniques, we have something we call the WDEP system. WDEP system, which is the main tool we use in reality therapy. Then we also have some other techniques that are used alongside the WDEP. So I'm going to discuss the WDEP system, and then we'll also mention some of those other techniques. So the WDEP, each letter there stands for something. So if you start with the W stands for wants. The wants. Remember we talked about needs and wants? So that is where the W comes from, the wants. So at the W, we are going to explore the client's needs and wants. So what does the client want? What does the client want? That is where we are starting from. Now, we said that the desire to satisfy needs and wants is what motivates behavior. And we have also said that the wants are related to those 5 needs. So the starting point is to explore the client's wants through skillful questioning. So we can ask the client some targeted questions which will help them to reflect and think about the things that they want. So you ask the client, now what do you want from your life? What do you want from your career? What do you want from your marriage? What do you want from school? Yeah? What do you want? So they need to articulate what it is that they want. And then, as they articulate the many things they want, you want to help them to see that all these many things they say they want, they are still tied to the 5 needs. They are still tied to the 5 needs we talked about. So if you can enable the client to see, so I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want money, I want this, I want this, but they're all tied to the needs. So that is where we start from, getting an exploration of what the client wants. And they get to see the connection between their wants and their needs. And I can assure you, people want a lot of things. The client who comes for therapy, they come there because there are some things that they want. The drunkard who comes for therapy, there are things that he wants as the drunkard he is, you know. Even the couple that is fighting, the fighting couple, the husband and wife, there are things they want. They can tell you a lot of things they want. They say, I want my husband to be like this. I want my wife to do this. I want him to stop doing this. I want her to start doing this. I want her to behave like this. I want her to say this like this, you know. So you'll get a long list from all clients. They'll give you a list of the things they want. So now, in that conversation, let them see how the things they want connect with those important needs, because the needs are critical here. So in addition to that, you also want to elicit the client's commitment to counseling. Very important. And I've talked about the commitment. So you want to see where they are. Remember those 5 levels? So elicit their commitment to counseling. Ask them to think about how much they want to change their situation, because they have come to see you because they have problems. So how much do they want to change? Let them think about how much do they really want to change. They say, I really want to change. I want my wife to stop doing this. I want this. I want this. So tell them, okay. So if you want to change that much, then you need to commit to this process. We work together. Then we are able to get what you want. So the only way to get the things they want is by committing to the process, you see. So that is the first step, the W, the wants. Then the D is doing. So you're going to be asking, you're going to have a discussion on what the client is doing. What are they doing? Doing would mean how are they acting? You know, what choices are they making now? And what is the overall direction of their life? Like, where are you? What are you doing? Uko wapi sahi? Where are you right now? Okay, where are you right now in terms of your behavior, your choices, the things you are doing, etc. So this couple who comes, the couple that are fighting and they have so many problems and they want so many things. So you ask them, So where are you right now? Okay, describe for me your marriage. Describe for me a typical day in your household. Okay, how do people wake up in the morning? How do people have breakfast? How do people talk? How do people ask for things? So describe everything that is going on today at the moment. So the clients will describe how they live, how they carry out their day, and so on and so forth. So they paint a picture of that landscape of their life today at this moment. That is the D part. Now, the D part leads to the E, which is evaluation. Now, this one is a critical stage because now you want the client to evaluate their behavior. First of all, they need to evaluate their behavior. You see what they described at the D, okay? How they described their current state, their current behaviors, their current choices at the D. When they come to E, now they evaluate those ones. They examine how effective those actions or behaviors are. So if this is how I talk to my spouse, if this is how I talk to my wife, if this is how I talk to my children, if this is how we communicate in our house currently, how effective are these behaviors? How effective are these choices we are making today? How effective are they? Are they going to take us where we want to go? So the client already told you what he wants. Now they have told you how they live, their current behaviors and all that. So they evaluate to see whether what they are doing today, how they are living today, is it going to take them? Is it realistic that it will take them to where they want to be? They want to be happy. They want a happy family. But the way they are communicating today, the way they are arguing today in their house, will it enable them to get the happiness that they want? And chances are they'll say no. They'll see that this one cannot work. The way we behave, the choices we make, the way we handle each other, the way we insult each other, and so on, there's no chance it will take us where we want to go. So we know what we want, and clearly what we are doing today is not taking us there. No chance at all. So once they do that very honest evaluation, they do a very honest self-evaluation, and they come to the understanding that this one is not working. Then you can now go to the, so this is just the evaluation that is taking place. Once they evaluate all these things, then you can go to the last stage, which is the P. The P is planning. We say, okay, so now we have agreed that all these things that you want to achieve, you cannot achieve them if you continue behaving and living the way you are living now. It's not going to work. So we need something different. We need some actions to be undertaken. We need some changes. So then we make a plan. We agree on a plan. This is how we are going to approach it. So these are the things the client will do. So if it is the couple that are fighting, for example, they need to have a plan. So they agree when they go home, they'll start doing this, they'll start communicating this way, they'll start acting this way, they'll stop this and they'll stop that, and they'll do this. So there's a plan of the things that they're going to do. So a plan is established, and this plan is created in a way that if the client goes through with it, eventually they'll be able to attain the things they said they want. So their life will change for the better if they commit to the plan. Sorry. So the plan is made, the clients commit to the plan, If it is possible, you can even write it on paper, the action points that will be taken. Number 1, client will do this. Number 2, they'll do that. Number 3, they'll do this. So maybe it is a plan with 10 points that they need to do to implement. Then they go out of their way to work on the plan. And then eventually, if they succeed with the plan, then they'll experience the change that they want. So the counselor then needs to encourage the client to stick with the plan, even if it may not be easy. But the counselor is not going to accept excuses, because if you accept excuses, the person will persist in their behavior. So you don't accept excuses, but also you don't punish them, or you don't crucify them, but you don't accept excuses. So you allow the client to bear the responsibility and whatever consequences may follow if they fail to carry out the plan faithfully as agreed. But we also accept that sometimes the client might have good intentions. They may come up with a very beautiful plan, They say, I will do this, I will stop this, I will go to the gym, I will change my diet, I will enroll in college, I will do this, by this time I will do all these things, they will say. Then along the way, life life happens, and they get lost along the way. So we are told we continue to encourage the client. They can revise the plan, or they can make a plan that may be more practicable for them, maybe if they were too ambitious. Yeah, but there needs to be a plan, and they need to stick to the plan. If that happens, then they'll arrive where they wanted to go. Yeah, so that is the WDEP. So W, remember, the wants, like what do you want? Can you describe what you want? What do you want with your life? What do you want with yourself? What do you want to change? What are the things you want? Then D, what are you doing now? Doing as in, how is your life? What behaviors? What actions? What choices? What habits? What people are you hanging out with? Yeah? How much are you drinking? So you paint a picture of what you are today. That is the D. The E, evaluate. Say, okay, so if this is where you are today, this is how you live. You are drinking this much. You are sleeping outside every day. You are beating your wife. You are doing all these things. Now, do you think if you continue this way, you'll get the things you said you want? Really? Will you really ever get all those things you want? You allow the client to evaluate critically, and they say, no, it's not going to happen. So what do? We need some changes. We need to implement some new strategies, some changes. So let us come up with a plan. So take pen and paper, discuss a plan. The client then goes, implements the plan. The plan entails changing some behaviors, stopping some things, doing some things, and whatever it takes. Then we want to see them succeed with the plan. And if they succeed with the plan, then they will have attained the things they wanted to attain. So a good plan has characteristics which I've summarized there. One, it is simple. I'm sure you know this acronym. We call it the SAMIC. The SAMIC. The SAMIC. It is simple, not complicated. It is something attainable. So the client will not reach halfway and give up. It is measurable. So the client can see progress. It's very important if they can see, they can quantify progress. It is immediate. It is being carried out as soon as possible. So we are making the plan today on Tuesday. Tomorrow, you've already started implementing. Don't say, I'll do it next week. I'll do it in November. You do it now, immediately. Involve, the counselor is playing a supporting role. See, it is controlled by the client. So you want to give control to the client as much as possible, even as you support, but let them take the initiative. Let them drive the process of implementing the plan. Commitment, very important from the client, and it is also continuously carried out by the client. So that, in a nutshell, is the WDEP. So finally, we talk about some other techniques the counselor can use. Now, I want you to notice, you see, this WDEP is unique to reality therapy. However, we are not saying that you cannot borrow other techniques. You can borrow other techniques. There are many things you can borrow that can help you, but the key process is the WDEP. So as you do the W, as you do the P, as you do those steps, you can be using other skills, other techniques that you have learned. Okay? So we are not doing WDEP in isolation. No. So you can use humor. Humor can help. Sometimes you find that if you use a bit of humor, you can point out the absurdity or the irrationality of some things people are doing. Sometimes a dose of humor can get a message across very well, you know? So we are talking about humor, not sarcasm. There's a big difference. So we can use a dose of humor, sometimes can help people to see some things they would not have seen. We can also use confrontation. So we challenge the client about their behavior. For example, if you see some discrepancy, the client says, I want, for example, I want my family to be happy. I want a happy household where when I enter the house like this, people are smiling. Okay, client says that is what he wants. He swears by that. But then the same client from work, he passes by some club, gets drunk, then comes home. The first thing he does is to kick the door. That is how he announces he has arrived. So, you confront him, you tell him, okay, so you want a happy, beautiful household, but look at how you behave. Do you see here? You see this contradiction, the discrepancy? Now, do you think this is going to work? So, confrontation is where you lay out those discrepancies or contradictions, and the client can see them. We can also use metaphor. Sometimes, sometimes the way people communicate, like here we are saying, for example, a client says, that when he left, it was like the roof fell on me. Somebody uses such a metaphor. I felt like I had been hit. I felt like I was hit by a ton of bricks. Somebody might say something like that. So the therapist then can say, okay, so how did it feel like when you are hit by a ton of bricks? So you stay with the metaphor of the client. They say, I felt like I was hit by a train. So you ask them, so how did it feel like when you are hit? Or how does it feel like to be hit by a train? So sometimes people find it easier to express issues where they communicate within a metaphor like that. So that is also something that can be used in the conversations. Being positive is also something that we can do. You focus on those things the client can do and not focus on their misery. So we make positive statements. You point the client in a positive direction, not focusing on the misery. So if the client says, oh, this is happening to me, my son is doing this, my husband is doing that, and I'm so stressed, what. So instead of focusing on the misery, you can make a positive response. So you ask the client, for example, now that all these things are happening, what do you think you can do so that, what do you think you can do so that you don't get so upset? Yeah, what do you think you can do so that you don't get so worried? Or what do you think can be done so that, so that you don't get so stressed out, for example? So they think of a positive way out of that misery instead of just dwelling on the way things are hard, the way things are difficult, and so on. So that is also a technique that can be used. Finally, another example is what we call paradoxical techniques. Sometimes we are told the client might resist carrying out the plans they make. So sometimes you can give the client contradictory instructions. Like here we are giving an example, a client who is obsessively concerned with not making mistakes at work. He's so obsessed with not making mistakes, so perfectionist. So you tell the client, okay, why don't you go and try making deliberate mistakes so that we see what will happen. So you challenge him like that. It's paradoxical. Go make mistakes, we see. So if the client goes and tries to make mistakes the way you have suggested, then the client has clearly demonstrated that he has control over his problem. But if the client resists your suggestion, it also shows he has the ability to control the behavior. So sometimes if you give your client, tell him to go and do the opposite, go and do the opposite. And then if he goes and does it, it means he has the ability to do it. If he does not do it, if he refuses to do it, it means he's also able to not do it. So you demonstrate to him that you actually have the ability to choose your behavior. Yeah, so anyway, those are just examples of other techniques that we can use in addition to the WDEP. So I think I'll leave it there. I think I've talked so much. So perhaps if anybody has any questions, you can put your hand or any comments before we hand it over to Dr. Grace. So I'm waiting for any reactions or any questions. So yeah, I see Immaculate. Immaculate, I see your hand.
Yes, Daktari.
Yes,
Mine
please.
is not a question, is appreciating a great session. It was keep up the spirit.
Right.
Hello, Daktari.
Yes.
Mine is not a question. I'm just appreciating the session was very nice. Keep up the spirit.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Okay, I see Florence. I see your hand.
Mine is also not a question,
Mhm.
just understanding a new perspective that you have actually brought to the fore. I seem to agree with the realist theory that sometimes people use certain, what they call conditions to satisfy certain needs. Like of late, a lot of people will go online and say
Yeah.
they are depressed. Out of that, people will fundraise for them. So they end up getting the food they need, the money for
Yeah.
fun, but they depress themselves. So there's a lot of that going on nowadays. Somebody is doing drugs or alcohol. I know they are genuine cases, but there are some
Yeah.
people who use that in the way that is being explained here. So it's put a lot in perspective. Thank you, Dr.
All right. Thank you so much. I see Edna. I see your hand. Edna.
Good evening, Daktari. I also want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues. And just to say that I think this new perspective makes very great sense. And especially in our interactions, even within family, there are people who don't want to take ownership of their behavior. They don't want, they hide under like with this reality theory, when we are saying that there are no mental illnesses, you do not dwell on the past. It's about the here and now, and what are you doing about that? So currently there are people who actually evade the reality. They want to pass blame on other people, yet we ourselves, even as human beings, we are active players in our own lives. So I think it's a perspective that personally it has opened up my mind, and I see a lot, even with the learners that we teach, but most especially personally, it has related to one of my relatives, or rather family member, who always put the blame on the other, and it's never about me. Yet from this theory, we've seen that we have the control. We are active players. So thank you for opening up our eyes and for this new insight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we have learned that we are active players. We are in control. Yeah, we should take responsibility for our actions. We don't give excuses. And even me when I was a child, that is how I was raised. Even my grandmother, that is how she raised my mother. And then now even me, I was raised like that. So even me now, I have to do the same to my children. People make such excuses for their behavior. Okay, thank you. I see Charles Washira. I see your hand.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. My question would be, someone who has suicide that this person may have not satisfied, that may lead to such behavior.
Please say that again.
Someone who may be having suicidal thoughts.
Suicidal thoughts.
Could be probably the needs or wants. Yeah, maybe which could be the needs or wants that this person may not have accomplished, that may lead to such a behavior.
Okay, so suicidal thoughts. Yeah, I think that's a good question. So I don't know what the others think. Maybe we can also hear from the members. So Charles is asking about the person with suicidal behavior. What needs, which of the need could it be that the person has not, satisfied, or how would we explain suicidal behavior if you are going to approach it from reality therapy perspective? Yeah, maybe we can take one or two thoughts on that very important question.
Hello?
Yes.
Can I try? Let me try.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I think this person who thinks of committing suicide might be wanting to put a stop to maybe some of the sufferings that he has been going through. So if he's been thinking of maybe the world is so unfair, there are a lot of things that are happening to him. So because he wants to, he might be thinking that by committing suicide, he'll be putting an end to that. And maybe now he'll now feel like he's achieved what he wanted. So maybe that's how I can put it. Thank you.
Okay, so he wants to put an end to that misery. Okay, yeah, that's a good perspective. I see. Maybe you can hear one or two more before we close. Apio, Kelvin, I see your hand.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Doctor. So for me, I would look at it a little bit different from what my colleague has just said. The person has achieved something by life. For me, I feel it's like it's because he's unable to achieve something. In other words, the need of power has not been met. Because from what you have told us, power is ability to achieve anything through your own effort. So maybe he has failed to achieve when he's alive, and therefore is feeling ashamed to be able to confront the inability of him being able to achieve these things. That is why maybe he's deciding to go away. A kind of escapism, a negative escapism. Maybe also the aspect of belonging. So sometimes when someone does not belong, the friends around him is unable to talk to them, because someone who is suicidal, that one can be avoided through belonging and talking to people. So the aspect of belonging, when it totally is not there, then suicidal thoughts might also come. So for me, it's those two needs. The need for power, the person feels powerless, and the person also lacks the aspect of belonging to maybe somewhere. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I think that's a good insight. Thank you, Kelvin. We hear Josiah and Grace Nyange, and then we close. I think we have eaten a bit of your time. Okay, so Josiah.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, Josiah.
Yeah, I'm thinking the person who has such kind of thoughts of suicidal, there are some things that he has not achieved. Might need some goals to achieve, and he has not achieved. So according to the reality therapy, I think he doesn't love. That need,
he doesn't?
He doesn't have love.
Love. Okay.
That is leading to commit suicide. Another one is he is not belonging somewhere. Might be there are some issues of, in the family, with the children, the environment where he works, and he's not belonging somewhere. Lastly is the power. I think he has not achieved the power. That is the reason he is failing and deciding now to commit suicide, so that you will not see these things happen when he's powerless. Thank you.
Okay, I think yeah, your connection is a bit not very good, but we have gotten the gist of what you have said. Okay, so thank you for that. Finally, Grace Nyange.
Thank you for this chance. I think I would say for a person who thinks of suicide is that lack of willpower to try again. So they choose, other than facing whatever is ahead of them and conquering, they'd rather just disappear and, avoid any form of confrontation because they don't have the willpower to try anymore. That's what I think.
Okay, lack of willpower. So they choose to just call it quits.
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you for that. I see Martin has put his hand, so let Martin be the last one. Martin, you can close for us this line of
yeah, hello.
Yes.
may I have a different approach?
Yeah, you're very
Maybe,
much welcome. Yes.
maybe full of humor.
Uh-huh.
This person who is interested in suicide, I have likened him to a car,
Uh-huh.
a car that is stuck in mud.
Uh-huh.
The engine is intact,
Uh-huh.
but the wheels are spinning helplessly.
All right.
So, it's still about you.
Uh-huh.
So, as a real in this therapy, which I have really loved, and I feel as a counselor, I may not be interested in any other theory. And this is from
Yeah.
my personal view because this one looks like it speaks directly to the life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel this is what I have picked, and I really want to know more about this, the
Yeah.
reality therapy. So in reality therapy,
Mm-hmm.
the counselor will give this person a shovel
Uh-huh.
and show him the steering wheel so he
Uh-huh.
can start moving again on his own. Because it's not now the counselor doing it. The
Mm-hmm.
car is yours, the engine is intact, it is yours. You know where the problem is. So having the suicidal thoughts is like you want to get out of the car and run. So whom do you leave the car with? That was my little connection to this suicidal type of a man.
So
So if
if
I'm
you
a
talk,
counselor at that point,
uh-huh,
I'll
uh-huh.
assist him how to get that car out. If it's about the needs he's lacking,
Uh-huh.
in this case, love, belonging, control,
Mm-hmm.
uh, all these can be connected to that wheel that is spinning. But now it's spinning free. So it's up to you to choose which direction you want the wheel to take.
Uh-huh.
So it may look more metaphorical, full of satire,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
if I get
it's an
such a
interesting
client, I'll really be happy.
metaphor to work with.
I'll really be happy to work with him.
Yeah. All right.
Because wanting to take away his life is like telling me now, take this car.
Oh, yeah. So he's leaving the car and he's running away.
You run away. It's not
And the
possible.
car is working.
The car everything is intact.
Yeah. Yeah. I see you. I see.
Thank you,
Okay.
Doctor. It was really connecting. As for me, it
Uh-huh.
nearly looked like it was tailored for me.
Oh,
Uh,
all right.
and I kept writing a lot of notes and shaking at the same time. I'm going to sleep knowing that I have done a lot of mess to
Yeah.
me
You've
and
choices.
the people around me.
Okay. So you
And
now you make
a colleague of mine, I just given an example where people get to media and say they are stressed or on their status.
yeah.
And I'll be one of those. So
Oh,
I looked like you people sat together and now decided to hit back on me. But I'm
oh.
okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. Thank you very much. Lucy wanted to say something, I think. Lucy Wanjiru. Lucy. Did Lucy want to share? Lucy. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I think that question is interesting because it is helping us to now apply. Now we are applying what you have learned in reality therapy. I really like the idea that you have brought about power and belonging because I would agree with you fully that if this person who is suicidal, if this person enjoyed some sense of belonging to significant others in his life, like if he was a member of a happy family, or he was a member of a happy, maybe a happy group of friends or even extended family, if that person belonged in that sense, then they would enjoy better mental health overall. And for them to progress to becoming suicidal would be very unlikely to begin with. So I think one of the solutions to this client would be to examine that need of belonging. How much does he belong? And I would suggest that he probably, and I would agree with those points. I think it is Apio and Josiah who said that this person might be lacking that support system. That need of belonging is not met. I think I would also agree with the aspect of power, because I think somebody has mentioned the person has lost the willpower. You know, this person probably feels totally disempowered, like there's nothing else he can do. Totally. So he just says, you know what? Me, I'm calling it a day, because they feel totally disempowered. They have lost that power. There's nothing I can do. Like I'm totally hopeless. So also, if you are to talk to this person, you may want also to look at that element of power. So there's a chance that this person has experienced serious failure. There's a good chance that they have failed. They have experienced failure. And you see, when you say they have experienced failure, you know, people fail in different things, but sometimes we take failure very differently. So maybe to them, they have failed in some things, and they feel like, now that I've failed in this, I'm done. There's no recovery, you know. And then I don't know if somebody mentioned about yeah. Then I would also suggest to you, you see, we have said that according to choice theory, behavior is chosen. We choose the behavior we do, and we choose it because there's something it is going to get. There's something we want out of it. So I can suggest to you that this person will choose suicide because they think that suicide will get them something. So is it that they are suffering so much, they just want to rest, you know, anasikia tu amechoka, they just want a break. They really just need a break. So what do? They think, if I kill myself, then what will happen? I'll get a break from this life. Somebody else might think, if I commit suicide, especially if I make it spectacular, okay, and I shock people, then people will have something to say about me. Like, nobody talks about me, nobody cares, nobody knows me, I'm so irrelevant. Now wait, I will show them. What I'll do, people will have no choice but to talk about it. So that could also be a motivation to somebody, according to the choice theory. Also keep in mind, some people make suicidal attempts or suicide threats. You know, when you talk about suicide, there is the suicide attempt and there is the threat. So people can threaten suicide because they know that the threat is a tool to get them maybe attention or to manipulate people in a way. So threats of suicide can also be used. So somebody might have learned that I can use suicide attempts or threats to manipulate people or to get my way. So also bear that in mind. However, we also told as psychologists and as teachers and parents, don't dare somebody to commit suicide. If somebody threatens, don't dare them. Don't tell them, si uende, chukua kamba ndio hiyo. They might actually go through with the attempt and they might die. So again, we need to be careful. Don't dare people. Even if you think they are bluffing, you don't dare them. So they may be bluffing. There are people who have a habit of bluffing about suicide. So from a reality perspective, probably they use that as a way to attain or to achieve some things, getting attention, you know, getting maybe love. That is how they feel people will pay attention to them. Yeah. So I hope that makes sense. I think it was Charles who asked that question.
Yeah, thank you very much for your responses, and I'm satisfied.
All right, that is great. So I think we have eaten a bit of time. I don't know whether Dr. Grace is back. Dr. Grace, I don't know whether she's back. Or if she's not back, we can hand over to Mr.
Hello, Doctor.
Yes.
Maybe as we wait for Dr. Grace to respond, this last technique that you have just told us about, paradoxical technique, can you give maybe one or two more examples on how we can use it?
The paradoxical instruction.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so let's say, for example, let me think of an example.
One whereby.
Yes. So let's say you have a client. Maybe they say they are very shy and very fearful. They're shy, wanaogopa watu, like when they are at work, they don't talk to people, maybe something like that. So they would want maybe to develop ability to talk to people, to communicate, something like that, for example. Then, of course, now working from this perspective, we are looking at their behavior as more of a choice. So they should not say actually they are shy, it's just that they choose to behave that way, It's a choice from the reality perspective. So you tell the client, okay, now, next week when you go to work, I want you to go to work and keep quiet. Don't talk to anybody. Keep quiet. Usiongee na mtu kwa hiyo ofisi. Go keep quiet kabisa. Yeah? Tell them to go and keep quiet. Don't talk to people. So what happens when they go to work? Are they going to be able to keep quiet? So if they go and they successfully remain quiet, and then if they can follow that instruction, go and not talk to anyone at all, then you can tell them, you see, so if you choose to keep quiet, ni kitu unaweza fanya. You can actually do it. It's in your power to choose to go and usiongeleshe mtu. So you can make that choice. You can do such a thing if you choose to. But if they disobey you and they go and talk to people, then you tell them, you see, so you can make a choice. You have the ability ya kuchoose kitu. Nilikwambia usifanye but wewe ukafanya. So it means wewe mwenyewe uko na hiyo ability ya kuchoose kenye unataka kufanya. Regardless of what I've told you to do. Does that make sense? So either way, still, either way, you can still show him that he has made a choice. You see, nilikwambia ufanye, ukafanya. So you're able to do it. Asipofanya pia unamwambia, you see, you are able to choose not to do it. So bado uko na choice. Yeah, so I want us now to develop this ability to choose that you have. So wewe mwenyewe umeona unaweza choose. You can choose to do or not to do. Great. So now umeona evidence you can choose. So I would work it that way. Something along those lines. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now I don't know whether Dr. Grace is back.
Maybe still on paradoxical approach.
Yes, Martin.
From where I sit, I think this approach is very important in assisting the client confront the issue. For example, if we still use the same case of suicidal, he tells you he wants to end his life. So this will be my paradoxical response. If you decided to do it today, how will that help you meet your needs? In this case, if it was love, it was fun, survival. So you let him handle it on his own. No, you've not given him a direction on Kubembeleza or why he should not do it. You are still on with him, in fact, supporting him. But again, assisting him to explore whether or not there are other avenues that he can take. Because the reason why, for example, he's gone for suicide is because of love, for example.
Yeah.
So he has been booted, and so he wants to commit suicide. So you ask him, in the event that you took your life today, will that solve my love issues or your love issues? I think that's a good one because it assists us to come up with an realistic outcome of the act. It gives you the picture that whatever that I want to do is not realistic. So paradoxical.
Yeah, I think that would be more of confrontation. You know, as a parent, do you tell your child, ati I've left sugar or I've left something hapo kwa meza. Now eat it. Yeah, I've left sugar there. Lick it. Enda ulambe. Nimewacha hapo. Chukua ukule. You know when you
That
tell
is what our mother used to tell us.
Exactly.
Instead of telling you usilambe hiyo sukari, anakuambia lamba umalize yote.
Exactly. So you're putting the
So
kid
what is
where
it
he has to make a
complicating?
choice. You know, so you can think of a version, maybe like, I mean, no, you are applying something similar to that. No, you're telling the kid, go and eat that sugar. Just eat all of it. Yeah. But the child knows you are being paradoxical because you don't want him to eat, but you're telling him to go and eat. So when you come back and you find he has eaten it, it means he chose to eat it. If you find that he has not eaten it, it means he chose not to eat it. You see? So either way, you are reinforcing the fact that he has a choice. He's capable of making that choice to eat it.
So that is a wrong approach, right? That is a wrong approach.
No, it's a good approach it's a good approach depending on what you are dealing with. All right.
Okay.
So sometimes you can tell somebody something along those lines. Tell him, okay, you go do it. Just go and do. But when it comes to suicide or self-harm, you don't dare somebody like that. You know, now that one is something where they can do it and then they die, you know. But these other behaviors, depending on the circumstance, sometimes you just dare. You tell, okay, go and do. You said you want to do, end up finding. Then we see. Then most likely they don't even do it. Then you tell them, you see, you chose not to do it. So unaona hii ni kitu unaweza choose.
Unaweza control.
Unaweza control your temptation. Great. So you reinforce that.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So I think that has been a good discussion. I think we are not alone. We probably have I don't know who is taking care of us today.
Mimi Nicholas.
Nicholas, yes. Sasa Nicholas,
Yes.
Daktari
I'm fine, thank you. Okay, she had other commitments.
Okay.
That's why she was not able to finish together with us.
All right.
There is an assignment they have that is very, very, very there.
Okay.
So with that, I would say that was a very, 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 very good. Today was also a very good student to listen.
Oh yeah.
It was a very good topic and one I've never even explored or heard about anywhere else. So it was that encouraging, yes. So for the participants, thank you for your time. And also, even if we have taken out of our normal schedule to have more time and more questions, it was very, very, very engaging because at least we found out you also could come in and offer some solutions as we were trying to run. Thank you very much. Daktari, pengine utuambie kwaheri and my participants. Kwaheri.
Okay, all right. So I think we can call it a day. So enjoy the rest of your evening. tukutane tena in the future, Mungu akitujalia. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Now, I
Thank you,
think
Doc.
this was.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Hatujaomba.
Oh.
Irene Tlamire.
Let's pray.
Okay. Our loving Father, we come unto you this evening. We are full of praises for you, oh God. Thank you for that wonderful session that we have had. We pray that as we depart, may we be with us. Take care of us this evening till we meet again. For it is in Jesus' name I pray and believe. Amen.
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 Amen.